I wanted to talk a little bit about divine masculine and feminine today, because these are this is one topic or two topics, you know, because nowadays people talk about sex, biological sex, then they talk about gender. Obviously, we know that ancient traditions did consider that, you know, everyone contains both masculine and feminine energies. By the way, as I'm talking, I'd love to hear your opinion. If you don't agree with me, type it in the chat. If you do, well, there's no point typing in the chat, isn't it? Because I'd also like to answer any questions anyone has. So feel free, please put your questions in the chat as well. Okay, so people are now talking about sex and about gender, right? Okay, so when I remember when I was a kid, you know, even for example, nowadays people say transgender. When I was a kid, it was transsexual. I don't know even why they've stopped using that term, but it's just very interesting topic. But I think one of the big issues that we have now is that for hundreds of years, if not thousands, like concepts of gender, so gender being a social construct, has been pushed onto people. I mean, I remember growing up literally being given the impression that being a woman made me inferior to men. It was weak, it was worse, it was bad. Yeah, imagine, you know, growing up feeling like this about what you innately are. Unsurprisingly, I did not have a very good relationship with my femininity for a very long time. Now, as I work with men and I listen to a lot of men's stories, I'm very much aware that many men grow up also being told, you know, that they're, you know, for example, their penis is shameful. I've just was today talking to a guy who was telling me about how he was shamed for getting an erection in class at school when the teacher should have just ignored it. He was actually publicly shamed and sent to the principal. You know, all these messages that are being put onto us about our sex and our gender, and so much of it is just negative. I mean, people talk about toxic masculinity. You just as equally have toxic femininity, you know, but it's like almost everything we're being taught, you know, and you would think, okay, you know, maybe you find some spiritual person talking about sex and gender in a positive way. And a lot of that is just as bad as the old oppressive model, which kept, you know, well, it was designed to oppress women, everybody says, but it was equally oppressing men, I would say, you know. Now, when you start thinking about femininity, and people always think of, you know, something subservient and weak, I mean, we women have been giving birth to babies for thousands of years. In fact, nobody would exist today if we weren't fully capable of giving birth to a baby in the middle of a field, in the middle of winter, you know. This is what women are, you know. We're incredibly strong. Being able to carry a baby is an incredibly powerful thing to do. And sometimes women would be left for long periods alone with the kids, and sometimes the men would never come back. You know, women had to be able to survive that. And they're now actually finding women's bodies buried with weapons, with like honors, that they were actually warriors as well as the men. So much of what we've been taught as well about women is really quite false. You know, at the same time, sure, yeah, there's an aspect to men and to masculinity that is very strong, it's very powerful. At the same time, and I will say of the men I know that probably have like the highest testosterone, that are the most masculine men I know, they also are incredibly gentle. They have an incredibly feminine side to them too. So yes, I just really feel that so much of what we've been fed regarding sex and gender is really false. Plus, if you take 5 women and put them together, they're all going to be different people. Take 5 men, put them together, they're all different people. And what they are is completely fine. Because if we were all the same, it would be awful. It would be horrific, you know? So how do we actually get in touch with our femininity or our masculinity? Now, I had this journey into my femininity, and it didn't come easy. Like I said, I was feeling really not good about being a woman. I used to go around dressed in very baggy, sort of masculine type clothes, you know, And it was only when I actually started to decide I really needed to deal with the fact that I was not having any orgasms that I started then to find the Taoist path to journey into my body, and in particular, to my sexual organs. Now, ovaries, fallopian tubes, wombs, these are incredible. These are amazing. These are parts of our body we really need to connect with. When we're not connected there, these parts of the body tense up. It affects our personality. It also causes gynecological problems and even cancers when we're too tense and the blood can't flow and the cells can't rejuvenate. But there's also the vagina, the womb, the vagina, the yoni, the pussy, whatever we want to call it. And much less attention is paid to the vagina, which is somewhere we actually as women can go. We can go with fingers, we can go with a jade egg, we can go with other things, partners can go there as well. And it's a very natural place and very easy place in many ways for us to start healing. And the results of actually going from the external into the internal and going into the vagina, into a place we really can go and get to, is absolutely incredible. Now, when I started wanting to really heal my anorgasmia, it took me to obviously inside my vagina. It took me to my vagina and through the Taoist practices. Like all Taoist practices are about bringing us really into our body and getting to know ourselves. Through the Taoist practice, it brought me in to start working with my vagina in a way that not just was I activating my ability to feel pleasure, I was actually, how can I put this? I was activating some deep sacred energy. I'm going to say sacred, divine, feminine energy within my body that led to a huge shift in who I was, not in who I was, but it led to me actually being able to become myself. Now, I'm someone that I've never really fitted into the feminine stereotype. And in some ways, I still, let's say I still explore that. It is still something I'm definitely maybe open to having insecurities about, which means that it's something I really want to explore, I really want to experience. And I've been told so many things about what being a woman is. I was told, recently I was reading something on Facebook where a guy was saying, it's not feminine to have a vision. It's not feminine to have a drive. I mean, okay, it's not feminine to have a purpose. Well, those are all things that are huge for me. My vision is massive. And before I had my vision, because there was a point in my life, I never had my vision. More than half my life, I never had my inner vision. Once that was activated and my purpose and my drive was activated, I've become so much more happier, healthier, likable, you name it. I mean, I don't know what this guy was on about, really, to be honest. And I think it's so easy to cling to these words and these cerebral ideas where what's actually going on is within our body. Now, let's talk a little bit about the male experience, because I definitely don't want you guys to feel left out. And I guess I really started to understand this when I started working as a tantric and Taoist body worker and working on men's whole bodies in these sort of spiritual healing sessions, which also brought me to doing sacred body work on the penis, the cock, the lingam, whatever you want to call it. And through working on this part of the man's body, it was incredible to see so many things happen on so many different levels. It was amazing to see the man having a profound activation into his true self and his sacred self and his sacred masculinity through these techniques, which did indeed clear away the blockages within the penis. But also when this sacred masculine energy was channeled through his body, the whole effect on his whole self was just incredible. And he really just started to kind of come into his confidence, overcome his traumas, and become really clear and directed as well in what was his path. Now, as I've moved on to working now with coaching, which I love because it really, really is able to give people like such long-term effective results that the person has literally to keep for the rest of their lives. It's been incredible as I teach this practice that I teach with men, which involves well, doing a considerable amount of work first on oneself to learn to basically like work with energy, but then actually learning how to connect with the divine within his penis. So we use a lot of self-massage of the penis. This is aimed at the physical structure, the lymph, the blood, so on and so forth. It's really, really important. But then there's also the matter of the energetic structure of the penis. And in fact, most problems with the penis, even if it's just a disconnection from the penis, if it's like feeling like, you know, just feeling not good with his sexuality, you know, once these energies are cleared out of the penis, what I have my male clients reporting back to me is things like, you know, they have like the hardest erection, they feel so much pleasure in sexual energy, but the past feelings of urges, frustration, and so on are just gone because everything is balanced out within the body. And I suppose what this brings us back to then is the Taoist, the original Taoist teachings and theory, which is that our bodies are alchemical chambers. Do you get what I'm saying there? We have energies that flow through meridians, through energy centers, transformation centers within the body and also in the sexual organs. And when the energy is moving within our beings, we then express as the authentic, pure expression of what we really are. So instead of trying to be someone's idea of femininity or someone else's idea of masculinity, and I see this like backfiring with people like so much, so badly. God, sneeze. I mean, I was just talking earlier to one of my clients today, and I've been guiding him how to use these Taoist tantric principles to just create this like pure-hearted, beautiful relationship with women he's looking to date, you know, that's just purely based on basically like self-love, you know. And he's saying, you know, it's just crazy how much like toxic dating advice is given to men, and I'll add women as well, that that, you know, men are told, you know, don't be a nice guy, act like this, act like that, you know. And I mean, another client of mine, I remember him coming to me, he hadn't had sex for like 7 years, and he'd been trying to do this thing of like not being a nice guy. And I'm like, look, just get in the relationship with your body, your love, your sexual energy, throw out any idea of sex, and just work on building a beautiful friendship with someone. I mean, within like a month, he had literally found the love of his life. And when we start working with our bodies in this incredible way and then allowing the magic to happen, that magic working on many levels, Jing, Qi, Shen being one, but masculine and feminine being an incredibly important polarity as well that ultimately each of us just needs to explore. It just gives us such an incredible, incredible way to experience life. And I mean, I used to just find I just got so weirded out by the whole thing, but now it's like literally I love going off and just, you know, hanging out with quite masculine men and just feeling the masculine energy and watching the way that I respond to it as well. But it's only something that we can just go out and experience with our bodies. It's not something that we can think. It's not something that we can, you know, be cerebral about. So guys, I'm super interested about any questions. We got any questions? I'm just checking on my phone here to see if anybody's asking me any questions. Anyone wants to know anything? Yeah. So I hope this has made sense, and if you would like to have any further information, please do feel free to reach out to me with a DM, and don't forget to sign up to my 3-day challenge, which is going on next week. We're going to be talking about stepping into your erotic aliveness, and we're going to be talking about all kinds of principles, including masculine and feminine, how to heal trauma to experience unconditional pure love, and so many other things. So I'm really looking forward to that, and wish you a very beautiful and amazing juicy rest of your day then. Bye.